I'm Alia Pierce, a 25-year-old Black woman who discovered my husband Ethan's betrayal and chose strength over heartbreak. Instead of breaking, I exposed his lies, gathered evidence, and watched his false world collapse. Leaving him set me free. I rebuilt my life, reclaimed my power, and finally chose myself. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe. Get ready for real, emotional, and thrilling stories from Black adults that will keep you hooked till the end. I used to believe that peace had a sound. Not silence. Silence was too empty. Peace, to me, sounded like the slow simmer of garlic butter in a pan, the soft hum of jazz slipping out of the speakers, and the rhythm of a familiar voice singing off-key in the kitchen. That voice belonged to my boyfriend, technically Ethan Cole, and that's simmering garlic? It was the scent that wrapped our downtown Atlanta apartment in warmth and safety. In everything I once believed about love, but I've learned this. Peace can be the quietest warning in the world. I was sitting on the couch that evening, scrolling mindlessly through social media, half listening to Ethan's terrible singing, half admiring the way the sunset spilt honey gold across the living room floor. For 25 years, I chased stability the way other girls chased fairy tales. My childhood had been loud chaos, arguments, slammed doors. So when I found a man who cooked dinner after long workdays, who left encouraging notes on the fridge, who kissed my forehead every morning, I clung to him like he was my anchor. Ethan wasn't perfect, but he was good. Or at least that's what I told myself. I just set my phone down when his chimed on the kitchen counter twice sharp, soft dings that broke the warm rhythm of the room. He didn't hear it over the sizzling pan. I did, a small thing. A harmless thing. At least it should have been. I didn't touch his phone at first. I had never been the type to snoop. But something in the air shifted a thin, invisible thread pulling my attention toward the screen. The notification banner lit up. Again, my chest tightened. It wasn't the name that shook me. It was the heart emoji. A woman named Rachel had sent, "I miss you. When can I see you again?" My fingers turned cold. My mind split in two, one half frozen, one set on fire. I didn't gasp. I didn't call his name. I didn't even stand. Instead, I stared at that message as if looking too long might force it to change into something harmless, but it didn't. It stayed right there, glowing in pink and red, shattering everything warm in the room. I finally managed to breathe. A slow inhale. A slower exhale. Peace had a sound, yes, but betrayal? It sounded like the sudden ringing in my ears, the distant echo of my heartbeat thudding against my ribs like fists on a jaw. Locked door. I picked up the phone. A message popped up. Instantly, "Rachel, I can swing by tonight if she's not around." That word, sharp, surgical. I felt something unfamiliar rise inside me, not sadness, not heartbreak, ice, a cold, calm stillness that scared me with its clarity. "Babe?" Ethan called over his shoulder. "You want pasta or rice?" His voice was cheerful, normal, and for a moment, that normalcy almost broke me more than the messages. I put the phone back exactly how I found it. "Pasta," I said. Steady as stone. He smiled, humming again, completely unaware that the floor beneath him had already cracked, but I wasn't stupid. This wasn't the first sign. Just the loudest. There had been little things, receipts he brushed off, late nights he forgot to explain, stories that changed depending on how tired he said he was. I ignored them. Because good women give grace. Because love is patient. Because I wanted to believe that choosing someone meant they chose you back. But grace without honesty? That's just self-betrayal dressed up as kindness. I stood from the couch, walked into the kitchen, and leaned against the counter beside him. "What's wrong?" he asked, noticing my silence. "Nothing," I lied, studying the man I thought I knew. "Just tired." He kissed my cheek gently, and it took everything in me not to flinch. While he stirred the sauce, my mind stirred too fast, dark, strategic. If this betrayal was real and those messages made it undeniable, then Rachel wasn't just texting him. She was bold enough to talk about coming here, which meant she thought she belonged in his life. More than I did. The thought didn't break my heart. It sharpened something inside me. If they wanted to play with fire, they didn't know they were playing with a woman who had survived storms far worse than this. Peace was gone. A new sound replaced it, the quiet click of a plan forming in my mind, and that sound? It was the beginning of a storm Ethan would never see coming. Asterisk I barely slept that night, not because of heartbreak. I didn't feel broken at all. I felt awake in a way I hadn't been for years. It was like a curtain had been pulled back, and suddenly I could see every little detail I had ignored in the name of love. Ethan slept beside me, breathing steadily, peacefully. His arm lay across my waist the way it always did, as he belonged there. Like nothing in the world was wrong, but I knew better now. Peace is a disguised betrayal wears right before it shows you its teeth. When the sun came up, I had already made a decision. I wasn't going to accuse him without proof. I wasn't going to scream, cry, or beg. I wasn't going to storm out or throw things like some tragic movie scene. No. I wanted the truth. And I wanted control. The kind of control that makes the guilty confess without you ever raising your voice. So when Ethan stepped into the shower that morning, I reached for his phone. My hands didn't shake. My heartbeat didn't race. I was steady, too steady. The lock screen lit up. His password was the same as always, our anniversary. A date he cherished enough to use for his security, yet not enough to honor in real life. There were more messages from her. Rachel, late night ones, morning ones, voicemails, pictures nothing explicit but intimate enough to feel like needles under my skin. Last night was perfect. I hate hiding. Tell her or I will. My jaw tightened. Then I saw the message that changed everything. If she's gone by tonight, I'll stop by again. I miss you. Again, so this wasn't just emotional. She had been here. In my house. In our bed. While I was being loyal, loving, and trusting. And she wanted to come again. Fine. Let her. With a calmness that scared even me, I typed, "Come tonight." She won't be here. My finger hovered for exactly 1 second before I hit send. A response came almost instantly. What time? I answered, 8 p.m. Then I deleted the message thread I sent and left the rest untouched. I wanted Ethan to think everything was normal. I wanted Rachel to walk straight into the truth. I wanted them both exposed without me saying a single word. When Ethan got out of the shower, he smiled at me and kissed my forehead. "You look beautiful this morning," he said. "Thanks," I replied, smiling back. "Dinner tonight?" His eyes lit up. "You're cooking?" Something like that. He had no idea. The entire day felt like an act of play where I had memorized every line, every expression. I worked from home, typed emails, drank coffee, all while a cold flame burned quietly inside me. Around noon, I texted my best friend Sabrina. She was the kind of friend who could hear the change in your breathing and know something was off. I sent her one line. "I need you tonight." She replied immediately, "Say less." "I'm there." I didn't tell her the details. Not yet. I wanted witnesses not to violence, not to chaos, but to truth. People always misremember things when emotions run high. I wanted the truth recorded in memories that couldn't be twisted. By 7 p.m. I had set everything up. The dining table was arranged like a warm, peaceful home, candles, pasta, wine, but the peace wasn't for Ethan. It was for the woman who wanted to replace me. Ethan came home around 6:45, kissed my cheek, and complimented the dinner. "You didn't have to go all out," he said. "I wanted tonight to be special," I replied. And I meant it, but not the way he thought. At exactly 7:55 p.m. A soft knock echoed from the hallway. My heart didn't jump. My hands didn't shake. I simply stood, opened the door, and looked Rachel straight in the eyes. She was younger than me. Maybe 22, pretty, nervous, wearing too much perfume and too much hope. "Hi," she said softly. "Where's Ethan?" My smile was gentle, calm, and practiced. "Come in," I told her. "He's already here." Her face lit up in confusion, then hope, then hesitation. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like she sensed danger but couldn't name it. The apartment smelled of rosemary, garlic, and expensive candles. Nothing about the place warned her she was walking into the truth. Ethan stepped out from the kitchen, frozen in shock the moment he saw her. His face drained off color. "Aliyah? What is this?" He whispered. I closed the door behind her, not slamming it, not locking it, just letting it click softly. The sound echoed like a gavel in a courtroom. Rachel's eyes widened as she looked between us, her confidence fading fast. "You texted me to come," she told Ethan, confused and trembling, and that's when I stepped forward. calm and collected. No, I said softly. I did. Both of them stared at me stunned. I thought it was time, I continued, for everyone to meet properly. The air went still, peace was dead. Truth had entered the room, and I was ready for whatever came next. Ethan looked like he'd seen a ghost, and maybe he had. Maybe the ghost was the truth he'd buried under lies. Or maybe it was the version of me he never thought he'd meet. The version who wasn't afraid of the truth anymore. Rachel stood frozen near the door, her eyes darting between USAs. She'd stepped into the wrong apartment. The wrong life. Why? Why would you text me? She whispered. I gestured toward the dining table like I was inviting her to a quiet dinner party, not a confrontation. Have a seat, I said calmly. Both of you. Ethan blinked fast. Alia, what are you doing? Setting the table, I replied. For honesty. He swallowed hard. Rachel hesitated, then sat down, her shoulders stiff, her fingers twisting in her lap. Ethan stayed standing like he was ready to bolt. I pulled out the chair at the head of the table and sat down, folding my hands neatly. Ethan, I said softly, join us. He sat, slowly, reluctantly. The candlelight flickered across his face, exposing every ounce of guilt he thought he'd hidden. Rachel cleared her throat. I thought? You told me she wasn't going to be here. She wasn't, Ethan stammered. I didn't know. You didn't know I'd find the messages? I finished for him. His mouth snapped shut. I kept my voice even. I saw everything. The text. The dates. The little heart emojis. I saw the one she sent you this morning, too. Rachel's face dropped, embarrassment coloring her cheeks. I didn't know about. She gestured toward me. I thought you two were ending things. You said you were unhappy. You said. Ethan's eyes widened in anger and fear. Rachel, stop. No, I murmured. Let her speak. She stared at him, betrayal flashing across her expression as I realized he had lied, not just to me but to her too. You told me she was controlling. Rachel continued. That she didn't care about you anymore. That you were staying with her for finances. Ivan's jaw clenched. Rachel, I lifted a hand gently. His voice died instantly. Rachel stared at me with guilt and maybe pity. I didn't know he was still with you like this. I swear. I leaned back in my chair, calm, controlled, but inside, something sharp twisted. Let me make something clear, I said softly. Neither of you owes me lies anymore. Ethan frowned. Alia, please, be quiet, I said gently, but with a finality that shut him up. A silence settled over the table, heavy, honest, the kind of silence that reveals more than words ever could. I placed my palms flat on the table. I'm not here to scream. I began. I'm not here to curse or throw things or ask why. I already know why. Ethan looked confused. Rachel looked guilty. I continued anyway. People cheat because they're selfish. Because they want attention without commitment. Because they want loyalty from someone, they won't be loyal to themselves. Ethan opened his mouth. I cut him off with a single look. I treated you with respect, I said quietly. With kindness. With love. I trusted you. I believed in your career, supported your goals, made this house a home, and you repaid me with lies. His eyes glistened. Babe, it wasn't like that, I laughed softly. Don't call me that. Rachel looked at him like he was a stranger. Which, honestly, he was. I turned my gaze to her. And you? I said calmly. I don't hate you. I don't need to. You're just a mirror he used to admire himself in. Her eyes filled with tears. He promised me, she whispered. I know, I said. He made you believe this was real. That's what men like him do. They collect admiration like trophies. Ethan ran a hand over his face. Alia, please, can we talk in private? No, I said firmly. Everything is coming out right here. At this table. Right now. He stared at me, realizing I wasn't bending. Not anymore. I reached calmly for my phone and placed it on the table face up. I know about the hotel receipts, I said. The late night meetings. The messages. The calls. The Thursday nights when you came home exhausted. I know everything. Rachel's eyes widened. She hadn't known the full extent either. Ethan sank into his chair, his voice cracking. I made a mistake, one mistake, and I didn't know how to end it. One mistake? I repeated softly. One? Or months of them? He started trembling. Aaliyah, I love you. I swear. And for the first time in our years together, I saw him. Not the charming man who cooked for me. Not the ambitious man with dreams. But a coward drowning in his own lies. I leaned forward. If you loved me, I whispered, you wouldn't have opened the door to someone else. Rachel squeezed her hands tightly. I should leave, she muttered. No, I said. Not yet. Her head snapped up in surprise. You came here to see him, I told her. So stay long enough to see who he really is. Ethan stood abruptly, knocking his chair back. This is embarrassing. He yelled. No, I replied quietly. This is honesty. Something you should have tried. He stared at me, breathing hard, shaking, unmasked. For the first time, I wasn't the one losing control. He was, in that power? It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like clarity. Rachel stood slowly, trembling. I'm sorry, she whispered to me, not him. Truly. I know, I said softly. Now go. She hesitated, then walked out. The door clicked behind her. And now the storm was no longer shared. It was just me. And Ethan. And the truth between uses like shattered glass. His voice broke. Aaliyah, please. Don't do this. I looked at him, finally calm. Finally free. Oh, Ethan, I whispered. I already did. Asterisk. The door clicked shut behind Rachel. And suddenly the apartment felt different, emptier, sharper, supper. Heavier. Ethan stood there with his chest rising and falling like he had sprinted a mile. His eyes were red, panicked, darting from the door to me like he couldn't decide whether to flee or fight. I stayed seated at the head of the table, calm, still, in control. Aaliyah? He whispered, voice cracking around my name. You didn't have to do all that. Oh, I replied softly. But I did. Silence settled again, thick, accusing, full of everything he never thought I would figure out. Ethan ran both hands through his hair, pacing, muttering fragments of excuses. This isn't what you think. I didn't. She wasn't. Aaliyah, please, you know me. I let out a quiet, humorless laugh. I thought I did. He froze. I thought you were honest, I continued. I thought you were loyal. I thought you respected the home we built. Aaliyah, you're twisting it. No. I stood slowly, pushing the chair back. I'm seeing it clearly for the first time. He swallowed hard. I made a mistake. Which month? I asked. My voice was soft but precise. Which night? Which lie? Which hotel? Which version of the truth would you like me to forgive? He backed up until his spine hit the wall behind him. You weren't supposed to find out this way. That sentence told me everything. You mean I wasn't supposed to find out at all? I corrected. He shut his eyes tight, as he could disappear into the darkness behind his lids. I walked toward him, not aggressively, not angrily, just close enough for him to feel the truth. You didn't just cheat, I said quietly. You erased me, piece by piece. He opened his eyes, wet with guilt. Aaliyah, that's not true. You know I love, don't say it. I held up a hand. Love isn't a word you get to use right now. His voice cracked. Then what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? I took a breath, steady and slow. Tell me the truth. His eyes widened. I am telling you, no. I shook my head. Tell me everything. Every detail. Every moment. Every time you stepped outside the boundaries of our relationship and thought I wouldn't notice. He stood silent, defeated. Because until you say it out loud, I whispered, you'll still think you can lie your way out. Ethan sank into a chair, almost collapsed into it like his bones couldn't hold him anymore. His voice trembled. It started months ago. My chest tightened, but my face stayed calm. I met Rachel at work, he continued. She was new, young, excited about everything. She looked at me like I was someone important. I arched a brow. And you like that? He nodded, shin coloring every movement. She made me feel admired, like I didn't. I asked. He winced. It wasn't that. It was she listened to me. She laughed at everything I said. She made me feel like I still mattered. So home didn't make you feel that way? My voice was iced out. His eyes flicked to mine, full of guilt. No. Home made me feel safe. She made me feel different. Different, I repeated, letting the word hang like smoke. Yeah. He exhaled shakily. I didn't plan for anything to happen. She kissed me first. And you let her? He closed his eyes again. Yes, and then? It turned into text. Then calls. Then meetings. Hotels, I corrected. He nodded shamefully. And after? I asked. He rubbed his face. I didn't know how to stop. I thought I could handle both without hurting anyone. I laughed softly, not from humor, but disbelief. You wanted two women to love you while you gave both of us half a man. His shoulders shook. A sob escaping. Aaliyah, I swear I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I said quietly. And not by accident. By choice. Tears slid down his face, and he reached for me as if touching me might undo the truth. I stepped back. He froze mid-reach, hand hovering in the air. Aaliyah. Please, my voice was steady. Too steady. You betrayed me. Lied to me. Disrespected everything we built. And now you want me to comfort you? His hand fell slowly to his lap. I took another step back, breathing him out of my space. You know what the worst part is? I whispered. You didn't even fight for us. You just quietly replaced me. He sobbed into his hands. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I walked to the hallway closet and grabbed the folder I had hidden earlier, a thick envelope. Printed statements, screenshots, receipts, everything. I placed it gently on the table in front of him. His eyes widened in horror. What is that? Everything you tried to hide, I said. And everything I'll need moving forward. He swallowed hard. Moving forward? Aaliyah, what is that supposed to mean? I met his eyes, finally unafraid. It means this is the beginning of the end. His face crumpled. No, please don't leave me. Don't do this. I didn't leave, I said softly. You did. I'm just catching up. He shook his head violently, panic taking over. Aaliyah, please, I'll change. I'll fix this. I'll cut her off, Ethan, I interrupted calmly. This is the moment you learn that choices have consequences. His lips trembled. Aaliyah, please. I'm begging you. I turned away. For the first time, he realized the truth. He wasn't losing me because of Rachel. He was losing me because I found myself. And once a woman finds herself, you can't lie her back into the dark. Asterisk when Ethan finally stopped begging. The silence that followed felt heavier than any argument we'd ever had. He sat slumped over the folder of evidence, each page a mirror reflecting the version of himself he never wanted to face. I stood by the kitchen island, arms crossed, staring at him with a calm I didn't recognize in myself. This wasn't anger. This wasn't heartbreak. This was clarity, clean, sharp, and final. Aaliyah? He whispered weakly, we can fix this. No, I replied. You can face this. He lifted his head slowly, eyes swollen. I'll do whatever you want. Anything? I'll go to therapy. I'll delete her number. I'll quit my job if I have to, just please don't leave. I exhaled through my nose. He still didn't get it. You don't get to negotiate your way out of the truth, I said quietly. You don't get to cheat and then ask for terms like we're discussing a contract. His throat bobbed. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I walked toward him, leaning against the dining table just inches away. Ethan, I said softly, everything you did happened because you chose the easy moment. Over the right one? He shut his eyes as if the words physically hit. Him, you could have said no. You could have told her the truth. You could have come to me. You could have walked away. I paused. But you didn't? His voice trembled. I got lost. I shook my head. No, you got comfortable. There's a difference. He covered his face again, shoulders shaking. For the first time since Rachel left, I felt something shift inside me, a kind of emotional distance. Like I had stepped outside my own story and was watching it unfold as a stranger. I'm calling Sabrina. I said. Ethan's head shot up. Why? What does she have to do with this? My friend, I said calmly, is coming to help me pack. His mouth fell open in shock. Aliyah, you're not leaving. Please. But I am. I stepped away from the table. With every movement, I felt lighter, like I was peeling myself out of a life that no longer fit. You're overreacting, he said desperately. We can get through this. We can heal. No, I said softly. You can heal. I'm moving on. He followed me down the hallway like a shadow that hadn't realized it was fading. Aliyah, talk to me, please. We've been together for years. Doesn't that mean anything? I stopped near the bedroom doorway and turned to him. Yes, it does, I said. It means I trusted you deeply. It means I loved you fully. It means I believed in you even when you didn't deserve it. Tears spilled down his cheeks. Then stay. Please stay and let me make it right. I shook my head. I won't stay in a place where I'll always question your late nights. Where I'll wonder whose attention you are chasing. Where I'm supposed to rebuild a home you broke. His breathing hitched. But I love you. I didn't flinch. Love isn't a shield you get to raise after stabbing someone. His face crumpled completely. Then you're my whole world. He whispered. Then why did you treat me like an option? He had no answer. Just like I expected inside the bedroom, I reached for my suitcase and laid it open on the bed. The sound of the zipper echoed through the room sharp. Final. Ethan stood in the doorway, helpless. Aliyah, please don't go. I'll be better. I promise. I kept folding my clothes neatly, almost methodically. It wasn't emotional anymore. It was logistical. You don't understand, I said without looking at him. You broke something in me. Not my self-worth, just the part of me that believed you were safe. He sank to the floor, sitting with his back against the wall, crying into his hands. Watching him break didn't fix anything. It didn't make me feel powerful. It didn't make me feel revenged. It only confirmed that leaving was the right choice. When my phone buzzed, I glanced at it. Sabrina, I'm downstairs. Do I come up? Me, yes. I slipped my phone into my pocket and zipped the suitcase shut. Ethan's head lifted. That's it? You're just walking out? No, I said gently. I'm choosing myself. I walked toward him, not to comfort him, but to make sure he truly heard me. You treated our relationship like it was replaceable, I whispered. So now you're learning what it feels like when something actually becomes irreplaceable. His tears fell faster. Aliyah, don't say that, please. I stepped back. This isn't punishment. It's a consequence. And with that, I grabbed the suitcase and walked toward the front door. Sabrina entered the moment I opened it. She took one look at my face, then at Ethan crumpling on the floor, and she knew. She didn't ask questions. She didn't need to. Let's go, she said gently, putting a hand on my back. I nodded, stepping past the man who once held my future. He reached out weakly. Aliyah? I need you. I turned just enough to meet his eyes one last time. If you needed me, I whispered, you would have protected us. Then I walked out. The hallway felt long, but every step was mine. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't walking toward someone. I was walking toward myself. I didn't sleep the night after confronting Marcus. Not because I was heartbroken, no. That part of me had already died, but because my mind was too sharp, too awake, too busy stitching together the final steps of my plan. By sunrise, I wasn't the same woman who had once believed in Marcus's promises. I wasn't the woman who used to cook for him, defend him, or pray over him. I had become someone else, someone quieter, colder, and more dangerous in our calm. And honestly, it felt good. Lysandra met me at her office early that morning. The place smelled like old books and lavender candles, her signature mix. She looked at me with a frown that blended concern and admiration. Girl, you look like you haven't blinked since yesterday. I haven't, I said, dropping into the chair. I need everything ready. Divorce paperwork. Asset freeze. And that whistleblower packet, we're sending it today. Lysandra opened her laptop, her fingers tapping with rapid precision. You sure? She asked softly. After this, there is no turning back for him. I breathed in, steady and unflinching. I want him to face everything he ran from. She nodded slowly. Then let's bring his little empire down. For hours we compiled documents, bank transfers, secret payments, screenshots of conversations, timestamps proving he skipped meetings while with Zoe. It was exhausting, but each click, each file, each saved PDF felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. We need something indisputable, Lysandra murmured. I opened my bag and slid out the voice recording Marcus's confession from the night before. His voice shaky, stuttering, desperate. Lysandra listened. When it ended, she gave a low whistle. Yep, he's finished. A strange emotion hit me, relief, but also sadness for the girl I had once been. She loved him. She truly did. But that girl had loved blindly. And that blindness almost ruined her. By evening, everything was ready. All that remained was the moment. I dreaded and anticipated in equal measure going back home. Marcus was already waiting when I walked in, pacing the living room like a man awaiting a verdict. His eyes were bloodshot. He looked smaller, deflated like a balloon losing air. Ayana, can we please talk? I dropped my purse on the counter. Talk, Marcus? About what? The lies or the disrespect? His voice cracked. I messed up. I know. But please don't ruin me. There it was. No, I'm sorry I hurt you. No, Tim, sorry I destroyed us. Just don't ruin me. Wow, I whispered, shaking my head. You're still thinking about yourself. He reached for me, but I stepped back. This time, the distance felt final. Ayana, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling. I'll quit my job. You won't have to quit, I said quietly. They're going to fire you. He froze. What? I finally looked him in the eyes, really looked, and saw the truth I'd ignored for years. Marcus wasn't strong. He wasn't brave. He wasn't even complicated. He was simply weak. I sent the email, I said. He staggered backwards, slapped him. No. Ayana, please, my career, my reputation, everything I've worked for. And what about everything I worked for? I snapped. What about the years I gave you? The support? The loyalty? The trust? My voice wavered. My hand shook. But I did not break. You destroyed us, Marcus. Not me. He sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I thought you loved me. He whispered. I felt a sting in my chest, but I straightened my shoulders. I loved the man I thought you were, I said. Not the man you turned out to be. When I went upstairs to pack my things, the house felt different, emptier, yet lighter. Every drawer I opened held memories, and every one of them hurt. But pain wasn't the enemy anymore. Pain had become direction. I zipped my suitcase, walked back downstairs, and stopped beside the doorway. Marcus looked up with tear-filled eyes. You're really leaving? Yes, I said. Because staying would mean I'm willing to shrink myself just to make you comfortable. He didn't try to stop me this time. Maybe he finally understood. Maybe he finally saw the woman standing in front of him, not broken, not desperate, just done. I walked out of that house with my head high. Not because I was fearless, but because I wasn't afraid anymore. Outside, the sky was a deep shade of blue, the kind that looks almost velvet. I pulled my coat tighter around myself and breathed in the cold air. Freedom. It had a taste, sharp, bittersweet, invigorating. My phone buzzed. A message from Lysandra. Got it. He's officially under internal review. More soon. I smiled, not because I wanted revenge for revenge's sake, but because just when it finally arrives is a beautiful thing. I didn't know what the future held yet, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't walking away defeated. I was walking away reborn, and Marcus? He was finally facing the storm he created. Asterisk freedom didn't come with fireworks. It came quietly, like a soft breath after years of holding my lungs tight, waiting for life to stop hurting. The morning after I left Marcus, I woke up in a hotel room wrapped in crisp white sheets, sunlight pouring across my face. For a long moment, I just lay there, listening to the hum of the city below. No footsteps. No lies. No tension hiding in the corners of the room, just me. Just pieced out. It felt unfamiliar. But good. I knew my world began shifting. My phone buzzed non-stop, notifications, missed calls, emails. I ignored most of them until one message from Lysandra caught my attention. They suspended him. HR wants a full investigation. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, absorbing the meaning. Suspended, not just accused. Not just questioned. But officially removed from his position, something Marcus never imagined could happen. I got out of bed slowly, letting the satisfaction settle in my chest. Not revenge. Just accountability. And accountability is a quiet victory. 2 days later. Everything spiraled for Marcus. I heard about it in pieces, first from Lysandra. Then from a mutual friend who worked at his company. He had been escorted out of the building. His team was notified. His company laptop was seized. The internship program Zoe belonged to had opened an ethics review, and then the final blow came. He's fired. Not laid off. Not asked to resign quietly. Fired with cause. His reputation, his career, his carefully curated image shattered overnight. The man who once walked with his chest high, now walked with his shoulders sunk, like he was carrying the weight of everything he tried to hide. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt nothing. And that was the real victory. A week later, Zoe's story unraveled too. Apparently, word spread that she wasn't just involved in a workplace relationship, she'd been bragging about it. Screenshots from group chats surfaced. Her supervisor called her in. Her internship was revoked, and her college launched its own review. She disappeared from social media overnight. People whispered behind her back. People whispered behind Marcus's too. But nobody whispered admin me, because my name stayed clean. My record remained spotless. And for the first time, I felt the unmistakable strength of walking through fire and not burning. Healing wasn't instant. It wasn't pretty either. There were nights I cried without warning. Nights I doubted myself. Nights I replayed moments of love and wondered why I hadn't seen the truth sooner. But each morning, the pieces of me glued back together the way broken glass becomes mosaic, different. Sharper, stronger. I found a small apartment overlooking the city. It wasn't a luxury like the Buckhead condo, but it was mine. Every candle, every painting, every plan, I chose all of it. And each choice felt like a step toward the woman I was becoming. I went back to the gym. Started journaling again. Reconnected with friends I had pushed away during my marriage. And slowly, quietly, life began to feel like something I wanted again. One afternoon, maybe a month after everything fell apart, I ran into Marcus outside a grocery store. He looked nothing like the man I once loved. His clothes were wrinkled, hair unkempt, eyes hollow. "Ayana," he whispered. "Can we talk?" I didn't flinch. I didn't shake. I didn't hurt. I just looked at him, a man now smaller than his mistakes. "I just want to say I'm sorry," he said, voice breaking. I lost everything. For the first time in months, I truly saw him. Not the husband. Not the betrayer. Not the enemy. Just a flawed, fragile human who had burned his own future. "I hope," I said gently, "you learn from this. But your healing, your consequences, your journey, they aren't mine to carry anymore." He nodded, tears slipping down his face. "I miss who we were." "I don't," I said softly, "because who we were almost destroyed me." And with that, I walked away. Not with anger, not with pain, but with closure. Months passed. One morning, sitting on the balcony of my new apartment with a cup of tea, I realized something. I felt whole. Not patched. Not numb. Whole. Everything I lost had made room for everything I deserved. A new job opportunity came. A new social circle formed. A new peace settled in my chest like sunlight on water. And for the first time, I looked at my own reflection and saw exactly who I wanted to be. A woman who survived. A woman who rebuilt. A woman who rose. A woman who didn't let betrayal be her ending, but her beginning. As I closed my journal that night, I whispered to myself, I choose me now. Not out of bitterness. Not out of revenge. But out of love. Love I finally gave to myself. This wasn't the story of a marriage ending. It was the story of my beginning. The end.